Hey guys, welcome to the channel. My name is Jeff, and we are going to be reupholstering a seat cushion today. We'll be ripping all this upholstery off, redesigning it, refoaming it, and it's going to look like a completely different piece when we're done. All right, let's go. So first things first, we need to get this old upholstery up, and we'll see how it goes. Just keep in mind when you're doing this. Now I've got a lot of rust showing on these nails. Obviously I don't want to get poked by anything because I don't feel like bleeding today. Got all those staples pulled all the way around. So now I just peel this old fabric back over these corners. So the old foam is not in terrible shape, but I'm not going to be reusing any of this except for maybe like some filler in places with the new foam. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I'm just wearing a hoodie because it's cold outside. So hopefully my content is allowed. Maybe I should take this off. There. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Where was I? I've got all those staples pulled out of that old wood. We are reusing this wood, which is why I spent the time to pull all those staples. Some 220 grit. I'm just gonna do it by hand real lightly. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a little bit of surface prep and some cleanup. That's all we're doing here. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. And then just clean my work area so I have a nice fresh surface to work with. So on this particular piece that I'm working on, it's a little bit longer than it is wide. It's going 20 inches this direction and it's going 19 inches this way. So I definitely need to keep the orientation correct when I go to put it back together. And you can see I just used the old foam to create the pattern that I like to put on my boat. If you're doing your own project, you can obviously do your own pattern and make it however you want. And we're gonna go ahead and start with our new foam, getting it prepped and ready to glue onto the old board so it's ready for upholstery. So here are the pieces of foam that I'm working with. These are 4-inch, 19 or so across. So they fit pretty well going side to side, but they're not quite long enough to reach the 20 on the other side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use another piece to cut off and add to this edge. And then we're gonna glue those pieces together so they cover the entire area. So the first thing that I really wanna do is I wanna find the exact center of this going side to side. 6 inches from the center to make 12 inches total. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and take this electric meat carver and I'm gonna go down that line and make this an even cut on either side. And what you wind up with is essentially 3 pieces. You get the center piece at 12 inches, and then I've got my 3 1/4 on either side. I'm gonna cut this down 1 inch and then kind of taper it at the edge to create a little bit of a lip. So with a little bit of measuring, it doesn't have to be perfect because the foam is gonna compress with the vinyl. But after a little bit of measuring and some cutting, we were able to form the 3 sections of foam that we'll need. So the next step is to get our vinyl and start making patterns. I've already got some patterns made up. These are probably the most important ones, and I'm gonna put these together first. So when I'm making patterns, something that I wanna keep in mind is which direction does the vinyl stretch? And I need it to stretch a certain way based on the design. So your design is gonna have different stretch levels, but I know the direction mine's supposed to stretch. And the other thing to keep in mind is that when you're patterning, what you need to do is allow for that seam. I use a 3/8 inch seam. So I wanna make sure that when I'm tracing my pattern, I want to ensure that I've got 3/8 of an inch on all sides. And yes, these are square, these are much easier to do. The fun part is doing the curved edges. The thing about the curved pieces is that you still need to think about which way is the vinyl stretching. I actually prefer to have one side that does not stretch while the other side does stretch. So I really want to keep that in mind, especially while I'm patterning, because you can have all kinds of different shapes that you're working with. I don't need just 2 of these, I need 4 of these, and I need them to mirror each other. So again, always keeping that in mind. And I do want to show you this. One tip that I found it works for me, when you have these soft corners on your pattern, so obviously this is where the stitch is actually going to be, is on this line. This is the seam allowance to have some fabric to work with. But when you have a soft corner like this, you still want this measurement to be exactly where you want it to be. So I measured from the corner of this seam to where that turn begins. So I made a little tick mark on my pattern so I know where to turn when I'm stitching. So after a bit of time and some patience, I got all of my pieces patterned out and cut to size the way they should be. I'm going to go ahead and attach the sew foam now onto the pleated diamond pattern, and then we can start stitching everything together and make it a complete cover. Now the first thing I think you're going to say is, you don't have an industrial sewing machine. Yeah, well, I'm just using this Singer heavy duty. That's all I got. So I'm going to make do with what I have. I'm using a walking foot presser, so it's actually pulling it pretty nicely. So don't judge me, all right? I'm working with what I got. I can't fork out $2,500 for a new Juki, not yet. But we're making it work, and we're gonna make it work. But let's go ahead and add that sew foam to the silver and get those pleated diamonds working. Some people like to use adhesive with the foam. I've tried it both ways, and I actually kind of prefer not using the adhesive just because it creates less of a mess, and it just seems to work better for the 1/4 inch foam, I think, because I don't want it to stick to the middle. I want that middle to kind of pop up a little bit. So I was able to finish that pleat, and my next step is to put these pieces together here and then top stitched, and I'll go ahead and complete that. I won't show the video. Measure them, I've double checked, I've rechecked just to make sure that it's fitting correctly, and you really need to make sure that your measurements are precise, otherwise the piece is not going to come together properly. But obviously I've jumped ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and complete this seat, and it will be ready. You may be new to sewing, but there's a lot of different techniques that we use when we're putting these stitches together, creating gaps where there's some bulk materials. Corners are really tricky. I'll try to get some other videos of the actual sewing process, but as you can see, this turned out really well. I've got some double top stitches here with a nice pattern, and then that's going to be attached onto the side of the pleating. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and get this thing finished up. And with that, we've completed the exterior of the seat cushion. What once was old is now new. And the next step is to staple it onto the marine plywood there with the foam. And it will be ready for use. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I certainly did. Working through this, working through the issues that I was facing, came up with a couple new techniques just for myself. Again, I'm still just learning this craft. I'm no professional, but I definitely have an idea of what I like, and I can make it happen with a little determination. So hit like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot, guys.